Cheers, Naz. Now it's time to have another look through today's papers with writer Emma Wolfe and journalist James Bloodworth. Welcome back, both. We're going to start with a really tragic story, Emma, in The Telegraph.
Yeah, this is this baby Finley that we've been hearing about over the past day, who died as a result, well, at the hands of his parents. Unimaginable cruelty. The judge called it unimaginable cruelty. These parents deliberately left this child to die. He was found on Christmas. He died on Christmas Day, 2020, in the middle of lockdown. He had 71 bruises, 57 fractures. He had multiple cigarette burns. He was living in absolute squalor. He was utterly failed, not only by his parents, but murdered by his parents, but failed by the social services, basically, in lockdown. The parents used this as an excuse. You can see his parents there. They were sentenced last May to 27 and 29 years, respectively. They were very heavy cannabis users. They were spending thousands and thousands on drugs. It seems that people were not allowed access to see him. All these meetings were happening on phones. You know, they weren't in-person meetings. Well, when you're talking about a 10-month-old baby living with parents like this, you need to be getting in there. And they used the lockdown, the parents used this sort of winter lockdown as an excuse. And there were family members who were very concerned. Yeah. There were carers who had looked after him and looked after him really well. And, yeah, there we go.
It's just absolutely appalling.
Yeah, I mean, have we learnt nothing from Baby P, from Victoria Colombier, from all these cases? And then to impose lockdown, there should be some areas that are exempt.
I read this and I thought, we're going to have a debate about lockdown, we're going to have a debate about social services. I just want to make it about evil people. And
I just want to make it about the baby.
We've both got new babies, and I'm sorry, 27 years, I could get into a huge debate life. They shouldn't be allowed out, mate. That's beyond me. And it actually, genuinely, I'm sure for you as well as a mother even more, I'm looking at that kid, that breaks my heart. You know what somebody said to me the other day about kids? Imagine the lottery of birth. You could end up with those scumbags. You could end up with this lady or my wife. It's absolutely... I wouldn't let them out. I wouldn't let them... I can't even...
It's hard to...
I'll say the wrong thing and then I'll get a bit vile.
Yeah, and it's hard to kind of, you know, verbalise how vulnerable a baby is at that age. They are, I mean, 10 months old.
You'll go home to your kid and you'll look at your kid later.
I know, but...
I love you and I'd do anything for you till the end of this earth. It's beyond me.
And
it's unimaginable.
Sadly, James, people like this do exist. We're, you know, just being realistic about it, we're not going to rid the world of parents like these two. So what can we do? And the answer is, like you said, social services. But sometimes people slip through the cracks and it's about making sure that something like this never happens again. But we're here again, aren't we?
Yeah, and it's not just social services, like the family court as well. So, I mean, at one point, social services actually warned the family court that there needed to be a longer period of kind of transition before the parents were deemed fit to actually look after the baby. And that was rejected by the family court. So it's a mixture. You know, you have had social services have messed up, but then you have had other parts of the machinery of social services actually sounding the alarms, which were then ignored by other parts of the system. So, I mean, the system has failed because, you do get evil parents, but the system has to be in place.
But why is there a presumption that he should be returned to his parents? That seems to be utterly wrong. There is no question that this child was not being looked after by these people. Give him a new start. Leave him with his carers. Rehome him. Give him to the foster family or let him be adopted. Why return him?
Mate,
why return him again and again?
I'll tell you the other thing, and I have to be really careful because it got me thrown off a TV show once. You know when you hear these stories about, oh, well, they've had this baby and that one's going to be taken into care and she's pregnant again and that will definitely go into care. There is a thought, and I'm not allowed to use the word, that people like this should be prevented from having children. We all know what I'm not going to use that word.
Yeah.
It's beyond me. That kid could have been born into anything. The system has failed it. It could have been adopted.
Yeah. Sadly, the hardest job in the world, which is being a parent and being a good parent to a baby like that, is the easiest thing to do. You know, you can just get pregnant like that and have a baby. And so there's no, as you say, we can't use that word, we can't talk about that kind of thing.
I wish we could.
But isn't it appalling how easily someone can be in charge of a fragile little being like that?
Yeah. And people will say the system, and I accept what you're saying, but these people spent money on cannabis rather than caring from their kid.
Thousands,
okay? And that is fundamentally why they shouldn't have been parents.
But there weren't... So there was a proposition to drug test them, but then that was rejected.
By whom?
I mean, that's
By whom?
I think that was the social services in the family courts. Yeah, a part of the bureaucracy, which would have been an obvious way to put another kind of safeguard so the kids didn't go back to the parents.
Also, if a child is covered in cuts and bruises and fractures and
Then you take
cigarette
that child
burns,
away.
it's about the baby. It's not about these drug-addled idiots.
Obviously, a parent's right to have access to their children is very important. However, in cases like this, the baby needs to be taken away into somewhere that's safe. And then systems need to be put in place to make sure that the parent can become a good
And I would
Drug
say,
testing, behavioural courses,
I
but
don't even care about... No, I would say 5 years later, if they want to come back and they show that they really are reformed and they're better and they're... But you cannot put a child back into this kind of situation.
Forgive my ignorance, how did the baby pass away? Do we know? Have there been
57
details
fractures,
about it?
75
I mean, he was
bruises,
very, very
battered.
badly injured.
Okay.
So,
It's just absolutely awful. Right, we're going to move on to a different story now, but something that we have been covering this morning, James. Water giants in deep trouble.
See what you did there?
Yeah, you could say another word there. After sewage spills have doubled in a year.
Yeah, I mean, this has been getting really bad for 3 or 4 years now. So, yeah, the number of sewage spills surged to just under 500,000, up 54% compared to last year. This is, I mean, the water companies, at the same time, you've had huge multi-million-pound bonuses being paid to shareholders and also chief executives of the water companies. So one of the 5 worst offenders, the chief exec of the firm of that, received a $4 million payout last year. Another top offender, the chief exec there, received £1.6 million in bonuses. It's obviously not performance related because you see the state of our rivers. I just think that the whole privatisation of water has completely failed. It's a natural monopoly. There's no reason these parasitic companies should be taking money out of these companies
It's an
when
absolute
they're not doing the job.
And the guy said
They're not
earlier,
doing
who
the
we had
job.
on, Ash, from a local authority in Oxford, and I think his words were excellent. He said, pollution for profit is disgusting.
Bills are going up. Bills are going up.
Yeah.
Rivers are becoming more polluted. And then you see these people getting millions and millions of pounds bonuses. It's a
I'm
natural monopoly. There's no need for a private company to
completely
to
agree
run it.
with everything James has
Tell
said.
me about the fish that are high on cocaine as well,
This is
James. I mentioned this earlier. It's incredible. Every single fish and marine animal has got cocaine in its system.
Yeah, I mean,
well, now the vegetarians are laughing, aren't we?
Oh, God.
This is one of the bizarre kind of side effects of this.
Oh, yeah.
You're not eating this junk.
You have also contraceptive pills and just sewage. So you have fish swimming around in, cocaine, antidepressants, contraceptive pill, effluent, and also human feces.
I have never, ever understood
it's crazy.
why our sewage system is directly linked to our drinking water system. It doesn't make sense to me.
I've never understood why people go to a posh restaurant and buy Evian or whatever the water is and then say, I'll have some ice, which is from the tap.
This problem
at all.
did go away. Then the companies have have extracted the profit from the companies instead of reinvesting.
Can I read a couple of
so
comments?
it's come
I
back.
just think we should have a separate system that doesn't cross over into drinking water or into rivers and
Couple
seas.
of comments. Should water companies be stripped of profits over this pollution for profit? Michael, they should not be making profit over our water. Sue, they should be made to use their profits to upgrade the sewage system and the directors should be made accountable. And Lee says quickly, sorry, yes, definitely. I live in Langston Harbour in Hampshire and the water company is regularly discharging waste into the water. It is utterly disgusting. This is shared by everybody.
It is disgusting. And it's not just sewage and pollution, which I just find, you almost don't want to think about what you're drinking, what you're touching, what you're going to possibly go and potter in the sea in. But it's also the fact that, you have these massive leaks throughout our London streets and streets all over the UK. Then you have floods. Then you have hosepipe bans. We just seem to the whole entire water system
in this country. Is there anything happy we can talk about today?
I think so, because this is a
I'm
medical...
not trying to be miserable, but honestly, I'm getting quite depressed.
This is an incredible development. I'm absolutely fascinated with dogs that are trained to be able to sniff out different conditions. We know that they can smell diabetes in some people, sometimes cancer. But now
sniff cancer out.
There are certain dogs who have been trained to be able to sniff cancerous cells, yes. But now, James, dogs can sniff out post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, so this is it sounds, when I first read the story, it sounds kind of far-fetched, like how is that possible? But animals can often detect stress. And one of the indicators of PTSD is high stress, which can be detected by dogs through smell. So, I mean, it does actually, when you think about it and look into it, it does make a lot of sense. And this shows, the role that dogs specifically can have in treating certain disorders. And PTSD is one of those. I think this is really really encouraging. I think this is a really good story.
You're right there. They're probably just smelling something like cortisol, which is stress.
Of course.
But it's such a high level with PTSD.
But PTSD, I know, but it's a term that we've imposed on a level of stress.
I think it's great, but
don't
if
really
a
want it.
dog can sniff out PTSD, wouldn't the person or people around them at that point know that person's got that?
This is a trial.
Would you know if you had PTSD? I mean, it's a serious comment that I'm making.
Not necessarily.
Would those around you that love you say, because of this traumatic event, to me, you
it
need
depends
help?
if they know about this post-traumatic event. We know that people take years to often disclose sexual abuse, stuff like that. It's not just people, who've been in the army and have witnessed, horrific explosions.
Dave's right. They hide it.
etc.
They put on a brave face. A dog can sniff it out.
Yeah.
Right, interesting. Yeah.
I'm not sure I want a dog smelling my breath.
I don't smell a dog's breath.
I don't want to get that close to dogs, really. I don't want to smell a dog's
I'm slightly
breath.
worried by a breed
do, actually.
the way
I
they
love my
say
dog's
hello
breath.
to each other.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean?
exactly,
Hello, Jezza,
exactly.
meet my wife. I mean,
And
the whole
then-
thing's not right, is it, to be honest? Fat people, all yours.
How very dare you, Jeremy Kyle. Emma, this...
No, because she'll do it better than me. I'll say the wrong thing.
Well, you already have.
I'll say the wrong thing.
Being fat...
She will.
Being fat really is in your genes. That's genes with a J.
Yeah, geez.
G.
Well, OK, so according to The Sun, they are saying that actually being fat is in our DNA. It's not about how much exercise you do. Some people are predisposed to be obese. And they're now saying that actually this one-size-fits-all approach to obesity doesn't work.
Yeah.
That we can't just treat people as though, you're obese. You've got to. It's about they're saying that it's a number of steps that you do will really ward off obesity. So if you're predisposed to being obese, you've got to do over 11,000 a day, whereas more skinnier people can do over around 8,000. I mean, I just don't buy it.
Really?
I just don't buy it. No,
Do you not
I'm
think it's a
afraid.
mixture of the two,
No,
though?
because I have travelled to places, sub-Saharan Africa, for example, where you see, and I know this is everybody says it, but it is true, where there is not enough food and where people are working very, very physically hard, and you do not see obesity. Obesity, I'm not blaming people. I'm not saying it's just about eating, but we live in an obesogenic society. Everything mitigates towards lack of activity and more consumption. So I don't think, perhaps some people hold weight more, put it on more easily, but mostly I do believe it's down to what you eat and how much you move. Some people are really, I'm very hyperactive. I'm always moving. That wouldn't be listed as like exercise, but it's kind of part of your DNA.
But James, couldn't somebody be genetically predisposed to being more active?
I don't know about
That's
predisposed
different.
to being more active. You can definitely be genetically predisposed to putting on fat easier, also putting on muscle easier. So some people, I've had friends who will go to the gym, go once a week, and then just eat McDonald's and then be ripped. And it's like, well, that's genetics, isn't it? But again, Emma's right in that you don't want it to become fatalistic. Like, you can offset all of this through doing exercise. It's not like, oh, there's no point doing exercise because I'm going to be overweight. I mean, you can offset it through a healthy lifestyle.
I find myself sitting here every day.
It's
and
harder
I
for
think
some
that-
people than others.
You know, this bit, oh, she were born big bone. No, she wasn't. There's
'Cause
got to be
bones are not
something in
bigger.
the truth that if you eat more, whether you're predisposed to eat more or you have problems, I accept all of that. But if you eat more, you will put on weight if you don't exercise. If you don't eat enough, right,
But
you will lose weight.
you can't deny that you will see families, or perhaps even no families, who
But
are a bit
that's just-
larger,
And that's cultural because in their family,
Thank you.
they're
They
doing less
take
exercise
out
and eating more.
all the
And there
time.
are so many other reasons for
It
that.
can be-
I'm not blaming
Why do
them.
we advocate
but
healthy
if you
eating and
just fed
exercise?
the same people exactly the same diet and they both did exactly the same thing, big bones, I'm afraid,
There
is
would be a
absolute
variance
nonsense.
in the weight, though. You
But
can
it
have
would
people
be-
eat the same meals, do the same exercise, and some people will just put on weight easier.
So
more
Oliver,
easily.
right, you can tell straight away he's going to be like my dad and he's going to be over 6 foot.
Mm-hmm.
Henry is never going to be more than 5.5 foot. So you could say, will he be skinnier because he's taller and more? I don't know about that, but I do know that it is about diet and exercise and stuff. That's very interesting, though.
very
It is.
interesting
It is.
indeed. Well, thank you so much to Emma and James. They'll be back with more papers in just under an hour.